Elway boots and rolls to his right, stops, loads it up, throws down deep in the middle of the field. Rod Smith's got it. Here we go. 30, 20, 15, 10, 5. Rod Smith, Denver, touchdown. Inside the 10, head first. He's high. Oh, my God, why? He wanted that first down.
And I tell you what, if you want to tell me the 37-year-old man that's going to win this game.
The Broncos have been in 3 overtime games this year.
Well, hello and welcome, Broncos country. It is the Denver Bronco Roundup. Appreciate everyone jumping in here on a Tuesday evening, joining us as usual, 6:30 p.m. on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. I'm going to welcome in our regular co-host to the show. We'll start off with maybe a little Albert Knoppers. Looks like he's ready to go. How are we doing, Albert?
I'm doing great, busy with work and all the stuff, and so life is good.
Yeah. As with all of our viewers who are chiming in already, appreciate you. Life is busy, so we appreciate you guys joining us, just like we're about ready to join you. And joining us right now, Mr. Jody Moncrief. Jody, how we doing, sir?
What's up, everyone? Doing good. Ready to put the stain of last Thursday behind us and move on.
Yeah, man. I tell you, it's like a pick your chin up, walk into work type of Tuesday. That was for sure, man. After or Monday or every day, man. It seems like this is a repeat every single week of us having to pick ourselves up and walk into work and try to hold our heads a little high. Adam's jumping in. Adam and Kayla, appreciate you guys. Says, what's up, family? Let's go. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys, and we love you guys just like you love the show, so thanks for that as well, you guys. Danny's jumping in and saying good evening, gents, as well. And what's up, Broncos Roundup? Let's ride. Is this a sis? Maybe. I see Facebook user. That could be a sis, so appreciate you guys jumping in there. We got a lot of things to jump into. First off, I just want to say thanks to Willow Seasonings and Blends. They're our sponsor for tonight's show. They've been the sponsor all year long. So thank you so much, Willow Seasonings and Blends. Fantastic seasonings. Don't give up on barbecue season yet. Believe me, it's the best time of year to be out there. That cold air, it really gets those flames just a cooking. And I tell you what, spice up your life, willowseasonings.com. Head on over there. They just amazing spices. You guys have got to check them out. Albert will give them a thumbs up. Jody, I know you give him a thumbs up. I know I've given him a thumbs up. So, man, I tell you guys, if anybody out there, if you literally like popcorn, it's fantastic on. So don't think it just has to be for your meats. You get crazy with some of these ideas. Fiesta lime seasoning, man, I'm telling you, all these fantastic flavors they have. Check them out. Anyway, moving on from that, guys, we're gonna. Like I said, we got to pick our chins up. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but we do need to talk about the game. I guess if go a little big screen right here just for a second. That 12-9 game. What should never have been a 12-9 game, but we can get into that. Albert, you're usually our optimist, man, and it's been tough to be optimistic. So I think I'm going to let you start off on this Broncos loss versus the Colts. What do you think, buddy?
So our defense is magnificent. They showed up big time and 5 sacks, I think. So you cannot complain about there. And we finally realized how we can catch a ball. You have to have 2 wide receivers, so that's a really good thing. There were some really good things, especially on the defense side. And I really enjoyed it there. The Colts defense was very good as well. They kept us down. We know we can run the ball, only we show it up on we show it late in the game. But yeah, there are some really good things, especially on the defense side. Caden Stearns
Go ahead.
Caden Stearns was really on the spot, and he was watching the QB. So 2 interceptions there, magnificent.
Yeah, way to call out Caden Stearns. It has to be a highlight when we talk about this because he was stalking in that backfield. He was looking fantastic, and for a guy, hey, we'll talk about a few guys we'll be getting back. Caden Stearns is really in there in part because of Justin Simmons being gone, and how better can you show up than actually putting 2 interceptions up on the board for your team? Unfortunately, a lot of times you'd say 2 interceptions, we should be winning the turnover battle. We ended up even in this game, though, in the turnover battle, as we gave up a couple interceptions. How about that? So I love the humor, though. Hey, maybe we just need 2 guys running the same route. The Raiders tried it, or they tried something. I don't know what they did right at the end of that game, but yeah, 2 guys running the same route. Maybe we get 4 hands on the ball. We come down at the catch. We're all good to go. Oh. Jody, you're not the optimist always. Maybe you can bring some levity to all our optimistic thoughts around the defense. They have been fantastic, obviously, whether we talk about Bradley Chubb stepping up, Josie Jewell, obviously Caden Stearns, Patrick Surtain. We would never talk about him because his name never gets called. He just shuts down his wide receiver. But there's the other side of the coin too, man. We got the offense that had to play this game as well, and didn't look as good as the defense out there.
Some guys I really thought stepped up were Baron Browning.
Oh yeah,
I thought Randy Gregory had been our best defensive player through 4 games, and Browning stepped right in, got a sack and a half, had a lot of quarterback pressures, QB hits.
I just had to jump back to full screen to say that good call, man. Baron Browning had a fantastic one, man.
That looks like a A+ move, moving him to outside linebacker. Bradley Chubb, he had sacks in this game too. I didn't look, but going into Sunday, he was second in the NFL in sacks, just a half sack behind the guy in San Francisco, Bosa. So,
yeah.
He's been really good. And Caden Stearns, for Justin Simmons being out 4 weeks, you really didn't miss him and back there, really. And that's a good problem. What are they going to do? Stearns has made it where it's going to be hard to take him off the field.
Yeah, they're going to have to find ways to get him on the field. I agree, man. If this coaching staff acts as the way they spoke, especially when we're talking about preseason, saying this is all going to be about the players and making sure the best players hit the field, and we put those best players in the best positions by the calls that we're calling. You got to find a way to get Caden Stearns out there. If not, he's going to be a different position altogether. But he could be another Shaq Barrett for this team, right. The way he's already started playing. It's amazing the depth that we have on this defense. For anybody just listening in, have it up on the screen. Denver defensive week 5 stats: 6 sacks, 2 interceptions. Just a fantastic outing. Not that we went up against the most mobile quarterback, but at the same time, they were doing everything they could to try to minimize Matt Ryan and his exposure in that pocket too.
And I'll give Mathis a shout out too. When Darby went down, he didn't really give up any big plays. He did miss a tackle late in that scoring drive for the Colts, but he played decent for not getting a lot of reps. So
agreed, man. This is a guy. I was lucky enough to go down to training camp, spend some time down there, and actually get to see some of these rookies, especially hit the field. And Damari Mathis, I can tell you, has made leaps and bounds since when I saw him, especially at the beginning of training camp. Looked like a young fish, kind of out of water, trying to get his feet wet, in the NFL. Was just always a step and a half, behind the play because, again, it's just happening so fast and you're trying to process so much. And new playbook and schemes. I'm sure it was a lot for him. I'm really impressed with the way Mathis has improved. I was honestly kind of nervous about him having to take the field at any point during this season, and he's already stepped up a couple of times and played quite well.
And that's a position that I'm worried about going forward, because you were already thin there. Now, I mean, you've got rookie Davari Mathis, you've got Michael Ojemudia coming off of IR, you've got Phillips who hasn't been dressing because of a hammy. I mean, that's a position that I think that they could do something with Stearns to help out there. Get Stearns and Simmons both on the field. That maybe more zone, maybe more dime, something to help out there.
That's a good call, man, because, we all want, we should talk about it, obviously, injuries that we had go down in this game. Might as well not beat around the bush, obviously. So Garrett Bowles, obviously a big injury, our starting tackle, guy that's, obviously had some issues from time to time, and we even mentioned it over the last couple of games. But at the same time has really developed into a fairly solid left tackle, and at times even held high rankings among tackles in the NFL. So it's devastating to see him go down the way he did, to know he's going to be gone out for the season, and we certainly don't have the depth to be playing around on this offensive line. And then on the other side of the ball, and the reason that we brought up this topic, of course, Ronald Darby as well. So, gentlemen, either one of you, feel free to sound off on this. I don't need to do all the talking on the injuries. You can take some of that hurt too.
Yeah, I really don't get it. Some of the injuries are, they are just accidents. Bowles was pure an accident, but a lot of ACLs, that is getting very frustrating to me. Why do we have so many ACL tears? And then, of course, Browning got injured, and Josie Jewell with a knee injury. Then you have Gregory again. We are dropping down. I think we are the number one in injuries in the NFL. At least here's another funny thing. At least we have a record there then. So I don't get it. And to me, it is no longer a coincidence anymore. We have a severe lack somewhere.
I guess I'll let you go off on this first. Is it a Broncos problem or is it an NFL problem?
With all the lower leg injuries, I think that is a Broncos problem, because we have too many of them. Head concussions and stuff, that is probably an NFL problem. But the lower leg injuries, with all we have, I think it has to be a Bronco problem. And it is not just this season; it is the last 4 or 5 seasons that we have this problem.
Yeah, it seems like it. Seems like it. Jody, is it an NFL problem or a Broncos problem?
It might be a little of both. I mean, the players are as big as they've ever been, strong as they've ever been. I mean, when you got 250-pound running backs and you got running backs that look like Javonte Williams cutting on a dime and stuff, I mean, injuries are bound to happen. One thing I will say is the soft OTAs and minicamp that Hacker ran, I didn't really – I understood the reasoning behind it. I didn't really like it.
Yep.
And I think now you're seeing it where you've got to go out there and hit. You've got to do some things. You can't just do light jog throughs and expect everything just to click.
Yeah, the thing is I would have liked to seen it warm up a little bit more, right? I'm okay with light jog throughs at the beginning, right? You're trying to get your body in condition, but by the end of your training camp, you should be going full at it, for maybe several days, a week. We're going to go into preseason. You're all going to get rest then. You know what I mean? So the end of training camp, everyone should be going at it pretty hard and should have their body conditioned for that. That being said, I mean, for me, I also look at the Baltimore Ravens of last year, and the Baltimore Ravens were just decimated with injuries. And I think a part of it is, maybe just that NFL issue. I hate to just lay it all on the strength and conditioning of this of the Broncos. You know what I mean? Because I think it's more than that. I think that it's the way that we're trending in the NFL at this point.
I mean, here's the thing: they do have a lot of time off after the season is over. So in the middle of February, the season is over, and then you have a huge break. You don't see that in the professional soccer world. They might have 3 or 4 weeks off, but they keep training. The training keeps going after the season has ended, and maybe therein lies the problem.
But they were all hanging out with Russell down in San Diego working out. No, I'm just
Yeah, but
sorry, that wasn't enough.
I don't think that's what it needs. They plan something themselves. They do just specific training, but I'm not sure if it is a well-rounded training, and maybe that is on the NFL.
I think this is a problem of and they negotiated this. You practice hard one day, you don't practice hard for 3 days, then you go and do a game. They don't put pads like on a normal week. You don't practice Monday, you don't practice Friday. You maybe go hard one day of the week, and then you go out there and go hard. Yeah, that's a problem to me. You're not getting your body acclimated enough to get used to it, to get used to these little cuts and things that you look at it, and it's like, how did that just destroy his knee?
Yeah. I was there for training camp. We had Demira Crockett go down. We saw Tim Patrick go down. So, that happened really early, too, in training camp. That's the thing that is concerning. You know what I mean? This is started very early when you think that you're just getting into that conditioning. And, hey, sometimes that's going to happen. You're like Albert pointed out, with the off time that these guys have, everything kind of tightens up a little bit. You're not loose. You come down wrong. All of a sudden, you know what I mean, you've torn an ACL, you pulled a hamstring, things like this. By the end of it, though, hopefully you're getting into a place where you've limited that, and that's not where we've seen this go. As you pointed out, Albert, as you pointed out, Jody, I think it's an overprotection that these players instilled upon themselves that is now coming back to bite them. And hey, I get it, man. I wouldn't have want to have been in Tom Coughlin's 2-a-days that he had back with the Giants back in the day and the Jaguars and the like. Man, he was relentless at times, or known to be. You know what I mean?
And here's another thing. You don't see that many injuries with the second stringers and third stringers that have played in the European League in the off season. Because they're still working on it. They're still training. It might be not as an intense competition over there, but they're still working on it. And I think, and this is my thing too. I almost was a professional soccer player. I trained 4 or 5 times a week, a couple hours, and I did it through the year round. And even though I was injured once in a while, but I kept playing because I was tough enough to do it.
It's interesting. I know I don't want to discount what these athletes do, because a lot of these guys are working out almost year round. They do have to keep their bodies in pretty good shape. It is amazing to me when these guys come back and they're like, oh yeah, he changed his body over the off season. He's dropped 30 pounds, or he's dropped, added, 25 pounds to his frame or something like that. There's not a whole lot of time to really make large changes in one's body, I guess is the best way to put it. So these guys, I think, are working out pretty hard and pretty long. It's just a matter of, hey, where does it come into play? That and I think it really comes down to, again, that training camp and that preseason that we've held up so much on. These guys aren't going full speed is the problem by the time full speed comes. And that's where we're starting to see some of these injuries. Hey, we do have Mr. Sis jumping in saying evening, gents. So we got the official Sis. We weren't sure we had Sis. We had another gentleman come in and say, what's up, Bronco Roundup? Let's ride. We thought it might have been you because it was just Facebook user, but we got Sis with his picture up there. So appreciate it, Sis. Thanks for joining us this evening, man. Appreciate you. Well, let's just kind of wrap up this again, this Broncos loss. That's kind of where we got started. Got headed down a little bit of a path of injuries along with that, but man, questionable calls coming down the stretch, Jody. And I know that you were probably jumping up and down, pulling out your chin hairs, whatever it happens to be, man. But talk about some of the issues that we had and some of the decisions that were made that, I think me, you, Albert, and a lot of Broncos country just did not agree with.
Denver knew going into this game that Russell's shoulder was hurt. They
Amazing,
didn't
right?
They didn't try to do anything to help that. I mean, there were a lot of downfield throws, a lot of throws where he sat back in the pocket waiting for plays to develop deep. And I don't understand that there was not a lot of short passes. There was no timing. They really didn't get the run game going. The run game has been a problem for me for a while. If you're going to be this wide zone run scheme, run the ball wide. You don't do any, wide runs. You don't do any wide handoffs. You don't do any pitches. The only pitches you do is where Russ turns and pitches it to the running back that runs up the middle. That's all we do, up the middle. So that's been a problem for me. But this hangs on Russ. Russ played bad. He made bad decisions. He made bad throws. I will take away, if his arm is really hurt, some of the bad throws, but that doesn't excuse some of the bad decisions. Like, why are we picking on their best corner for the Colts? Why are we picking on him? I mean, why? And where's Hackett? Where's Hackett saying he waited for the go ahead to go for it on fourth down? You're the head coach. You make that decision. You get unders. I agreed with them going for it on fourth down, but get under center and run the ball. If you can't get 1 yard, then you deserve to lose. But they don't try that. There's plenty of stuff.
I'm gonna jump.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna jump in on for just a second, buddy, because I've been in agreement with you all the way up till one point, and I just want you to explain yourself. When you said I was okay with them going for it on fourth, why were you okay with it? Because I got to be honest, I was not okay with it.
In overtime, I was okay with them going for it on fourth because you pretty much are saying you were settled. Yes, you had timeouts, and theoretically you could have stopped them in 3 downs and got the ball back, but you are saying I'm okay if this game goes to a tie. And if you can't get 1 yard with the second highest paid quarterback in the NFL, then you don't deserve to win, and they didn't deserve to win.
Okay, that's fair, man.
That's how
I get you, man.
The decision, I didn't have a problem with. The play call, yeah, and how it was all came out, and how Hackett should have never leaked that, hey, I waited for the decision to come down to make that decision. No, you're the head coach. You make that decision. No one else makes that decision. You get Russ under center and run the football, or give Russ an option to run or do something. You can see right now he's totally locked in on Sutton. He doesn't trust these other receivers for whatever reason. So either you better design plays that are getting Sutton open like Hamler, or you've got to give options to let Russ use his legs for 1 yard.
Very good, man. I'll let Albert go off on this game and the way it kind of filled out, the way it went down. Albert, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I don't blame all of it on Russell either. The offensive line was horrendous, and I think that's something that they need to switch up. We had too many dropped calls, and one of the reasons that Russell probably went to Cortland was because of those dropped calls. And then, the last play, 4-1, why throw it? And it didn't work on the third one. So why try it again? So, they should have run it in, get another set of downs. Even if you don't score a touchdown, just get the 1 yard, 4 sets of downs. You drop down the play clock even more. And, in a case like this, let Russell think of something, because he can come up with a clutch play, and he knows how to do it, and he has proven that over and over. When the time is there, he can get the calls in. He runs the ball, or he passes it off. He can do it, and just throw it again. I don't get it.
So one of the things that Hackett said in his press conference, one of the things that we put in our little ad for it was, hey, we need to execute better, and I need to be better as a coach. Are you okay, or is it just getting too long-winded and hearing it too many times of Coach Hackett just basically taking the blame? Because he has been good about taking the blame. He has said, hey, I need help, and brought in help. He has said, I need to get better. Our coaching needs to get better. We need to get better plays into Russell. I need to get plays faster into Russell. We've heard all these different things. Jody, are you okay with Hackett still saying, hey, we need to get better? Or is it just, is it too much talk at this point, already 5 weeks into the season?
I guess I'm okay with it, but what I don't, at some point, you need somebody to light a fire under somebody, and that's not this raw type of thing right now. That's not what they need. You've already got that in Wilson, and I think some of that's wearing thin a little bit on players. You need somebody to go in there and be a true leader. And this might be going off topic just a little bit, but for example, Russ has his own quarterback coach in there. At some point, you either are rolling with Russ's quarterback coach or you're rolling with Clint Kubiak. One of the two. Reports are him and Clint don't talk very much during the week. He's with his own guy. That guy's not on the staff. So that's where he needs to say, whether I don't care if you like it or not, he's out. I mean, that's where he needs to be more of a leader in my opinion.
Or you're splitting time with.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Interesting. An interesting report, man. It worked. It worked for Tom Brady. Does that give you any leeway? Tom had his own guys in there, doing the whole TB12, the whole nine.
And that works if they communicate. And if there's no communication between the two of them, then you have only competition. And we have a lot of times seen that competition doesn't work. Melvin Gordon cannot handle competition. Now he does not have a competition. I think he had a pretty solid game last week for the amount of carries he had. What I do think is right now they have 10 days. Why don't they try to have like a Clint Kubiak do the play calling? Because right now we are very, very predictable. It is either a deep throw or a run. And most of them it is the deep throws. So maybe try it out with a Clint Kubiak during the training and see how it works. And if it does work, then try it out in a game. Right now, I don't think that Hackett should be doing the play calling.
So I have two things on that. One, what we don't talk about enough is some of the blunders that George Payton has made. This goes back to he hired a very inexperienced coaching staff. I mean, you had no one on the staff that has ever, Hackett, he's never been a head coach. Justin Otten's never been an OC. I mean, you have a very inexperienced head coaching staff. So that falls on George Payton. He should have said, you need somebody in here to help you call plays. I've never been a fan. Yes, there are the Sean McVays and Kyle Shanahan's, but I've never been a fan of a head coach calling his own plays because you cannot manage the whole game. It's that.
I mean, it's a fair argument. At the same time, I can't give George Payton a whole lot of blame, I guess you could say. I mean, maybe a little bit. Maybe he should have stepped in, but at the same time, I feel like these guys have to put their own coaching staff together.
I feel like
as much as we want to be, but just real quick, as much as we're critical of the offense, EJ Evero, no one's saying a word.
No, he's been great. I think he's been their best hire. Do you feel
Has he been a defensive coordinator before?
he is not?
Okay,
But he
so
also
much like Justin, but so we should give him the same credit as we give Justin Outen then in a lot of ways. I mean, or at least the same leeway. You know, I guess we're excited about EJ Evero, but Justin Outen, and I know that he's not calling the plays. Maybe that's what needs to happen. Maybe Coach Hackett needs to go ahead and give that over to Outen and like go a kind of a sink or swim. And maybe Outen is just like EJ Evero. Maybe he's that standout that'll do fantastic for him. We don't know.
You know, special teams coach is not bad either, and we are much better than last year. So, and I think this is his first stint too. So
I'm not going to stand up here though and say everything's great though, man. I agree with you, Jody. Something has got to change in this offense. We're kind of swinging that way, man. We have different segments, I guess, in this, and we're swinging over now to, I guess, the coaching. You know, we kind of go off that 12-9 loss that we suffered, and quite honestly, even last thing I'll say, I would have loved to seen a 12-12 tie with our defense on the field for another stand to see if we would have been able to maybe somehow our defense would have had they got 2 interceptions. They had just as good an opportunity to win that game for us as our offense, and that's where our strength was. That's the only reason I wanted us to be going for a field goal. But I'll certainly agree with you. If we can't, for the love of all that's good, if we can't get Russell under center for 4th and short, 3rd and short, just get him under center. It makes no sense it doesn't do anything for the running back. It doesn't do anything for Russell. Just get him under center. I know that Hackett said they're going to go back to the drawing board all the way back to training camp and pull out all the best. Hopefully we see it, man.
And this is where I want to give Hackett a credit. He didn't want to have to rely on the defense. He wanted to finish it off. It didn't work out, but he didn't want to have to rely on the defense. And with the previous coaches we had, they were relying too much on them. And I think that's a plus for Hackett.
One thing I'll say about it,
looks like Jody wants to jump in.
If you tie this game and you win in a 12-12 tie, you're going to get you didn't lose, and I was hoping you go for it and you win this game, or you lose, and maybe this will put a fire under somebody, because even the 2 wins, but we won the game, so that's all that matters. In the end, yes, that's all that matters, but there's a lot of things that W covered up that now are being exposed, and I think a tie would have done the same thing. I think this was the type of loss that some people had to look in the mirror and say, what are we doing? This is a crossroads.
Okay. Do you think we're at that crossroads already?
I think we're at that crossroads because of Wilson, and he makes it. I support Wilson, but he makes it hard sometimes with like after his press conference, the "Let's ride." I mean, know your audience, and stuff like that, or the corny Winston Churchill quote yesterday. I mean, stuff like that. I mean, you played bad. You owned up to it. Now go out there and show why you are a 9-time Pro Bowler and a Super Bowl winning quarterback and one of the best quarterbacks. I don't think that he's lost anything. I mean, it's easy to say when you miss throws or whatever. I don't think that, because you can watch when things are right, he can throw the ball wherever he wants. It's on time. He just has to get focused and get mentally right and become more of a team guy.
Sorry, guys, I dropped out there for a second. I'm back, I promise. So, it's interesting because I think you hit the nail on the head. I think this is a crossroads. I think this is a look in the mirror. I think it'll be interesting to see how Russell progresses past this, man, because I'll be honest, that forced let's ride as he's halfway off the podium, as you mentioned, was not a good look. You know what I mean? He needs to. I just hope he doesn't become an issue in this locker room. As you pointed out, if he has his own QB guys, if he's getting those meme looks from Melvin Gordon on the sideline, if he's got KJ Hamler that upset about that, here's a guy that went 1 for 10 and probably had multiple opportunities in that game. It's just a lot to put on a team, man, when you have this type of persona, I guess is the best way to put it, that you have with Russell Wilson. I hope it's all good until it's not good.
Other than the 2012 team scored a little more, this is so similar to 2-3 Chargers on Monday night. I mean, you come off a bad win or a bad loss.
Yeah.
They come off a first half playing horrible and turned it around in the second half and won that game, and everything changed. Is this are we seeing
I like
a repeat
your style,
of
man.
2012? I mean, they've got players on this team, and I mean, Jerry Jeudy was picked at number 10 or whatever he was picked for a reason.
And this could be the next game could be a make or break game for Hackett. They're not gonna let Russell go, but you never know.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a game that obviously needs to turn. Coming off, as we deemed it, the mini bye, a lot of things that we need to get straightened out. Kind of a come to, I guess, type of game that we end up having this last weekend, and man, it's going to be interesting to see how this team comes out, I guess is the best way to put it. Okay, guys, I don't know, we're might be getting in and out of agenda. I don't even know, but one of the things that has been a frustration, what has been the coaching. I just did want to bring this up. We did kind of look back, and I know that Coach Hackett, for some of us, for a lot of Broncos country, was maybe a surprise hire, was maybe not the guy that we expected to maybe come in here and lead this team. We've had 10 openings this year in the NFL that were filled, so I figured I'd add that to the stream right here real quick. This is what we have for anybody just listening along. Lovie Smith with the Texans, Matt Eberflus with the Bears, Doug Peterson with the Jaguars, Brian Dable with the Giants, Kevin O'Connell with the Vikings, Mike McDaniel with the Dolphins, of course Nathaniel Hackett with the Broncos, Dennis Allen with the Saints, Josh McDaniels with the Raiders, and Todd Bowles with the Buccaneers. Guys, revisionist history a little bit, was Nathaniel Hackett your guy? Was one of these guys on the screen your guy, or did you have somebody else that you wanted to come in here and feel we missed out on an opportunity? I'll go to you, Jody, because I think I know you have an opinion on this one.
My guy all the way I wanted Dan Quinn. He had led a team to a Super Bowl. I mean, look what he's doing in Dallas right now. I mean, that D is playing tremendous down there, and he's a leader. I was never really on the Hackett train. I thought it felt like a gimmick hire. You get Aaron Rodgers here, and when they didn't get him here, they were kind of trapped.
Yeah,
that's how I really felt about it. I don't think that the guy's horrible. I just go back to previous things. He was not a great OC in Buffalo. Granted, he didn't have a great quarterback. He was not a great OC in Jacksonville. Granted, he had Blake Bortles there. But there was just some different things. If you look at, is Geno Smith a great quarterback? And they're getting great play out of Geno Smith right now, for example.
Yep.
So is this an
That
Aaron
was the
Rodgers?
Blake Bortles quarterback. Blake Bortles quarterback, and Nathaniel Hackett beat Tom Brady, if I remember right. I'm just saying, bringing that up. No, keep going.
That's just how I felt. He's here now. In the moment, do I say fire him? Probably, but you've got to give this time to work. I think he's at least he's not getting fired mid-season. He's going to be here a full year, and you see where this turns out. If this is a dumpster fire and you're 6-11 at the end of the year, then yeah, and nothing's improved. and you're still having these game management problems and different type of things, then yeah. But if you see some real improvement, whether you make the playoffs or not, and at the end of the season you're throwing up 25, 30 points and different things, then I can be on the bandwagon. But
Okay. But not your pick. Not your pick.
Not
I know
my-
that
he
you were a
was
big.
not.
I knew you were a big Dan Quinn fan, man, and I don't know if they could have lured him, but he did end up like pulling out of contention for head coaching jobs at one point, and decided that he was just going to stay in Dallas. Could Denver have come with a great big old huge offer and lured him anyway? To forever be known, because that certainly did not happen. I don't think that was even the route.
I think
they
the
were
biggest
looking,
thing
so.
for him is he's the defensive coordinator, and Vance Joseph and
Vic
Vic
Fangio.
Fangio stating that the next guy was going to be offensive, period.
Yeah, offensive and probably some young. I thought offensive and young, that was going to be our theme.
I
but,
think Bill Belichick would have been the only defensive type coach that you were going to bring in. Other than that, you were going offense.
There you go, buddy. Albert, how about you, man? I'll add this back up here. Any of those names that you had wanted, or was there another name, or was Nathaniel Hackett your guy?
No, I think Hackett came maybe it was a second thought, maybe because of Aaron Rodgers. I'm glad we didn't get Aaron Rodgers, because that would have been too much diva here. I was thinking of Brian Daboll, but he had his, from what I understand, his focus was on the Giants, and I was already pretty much on made a bet. But what about
revisionist history? Lets you offer big loads of cash to any of these guys, man. So I keep that in mind. I just want to know who you would have wanted to lead this team, buddy.
I was thinking of Bieniemy. I think Bieniemy would have been a good one to have here. He's worked on a tremendous great coach and offensive minded. Yeah, I would have liked to see that one, Bieniemy.
Wow. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that name. It's an interesting one, man. I know there was a lot of, I guess there were some issues up in CU, and some people, are a little bit concerned that he just hasn't got that chance yet. Who else has seen why he's not, getting picked, I guess. You don't want to be the after a while, if everyone keeps picking over that kid, when everyone's, even if he's like 6'8" and you're picking for basketball, but no one's picking him, at some point you got to go, you know what? Maybe we don't want to be the guys who pick the 6'8" guy. You know what I mean? So, I think that has a little bit to do with it. Me personally, my guy was Kevin O'Connell. I really liked his scheme, his offense. I wanted that offensive mind in here. Has he lit the world on fire with the Vikings? No, probably not. And I think that was a little bit of why I kind of put this together. Lovie Smith obviously was kind of I hate to say a consolation prize, you know what I mean, for coaching. But, I think they're looking towards next year. And it certainly hasn't done anything spectacular with the Texans. Matt Eberflus with the Bears. Again, still a lot of work to get done. Doug Peterson with the Jaguars has started to make the turn. You know what I mean? A little bit. Certainly a lot better than what we had with Urban Meyer last year. Brian Daboll has stood out, obviously, with the Giants. Look where they've got that, where he's got that team and competing in the NFC East. Kevin O'Connell, we already talked about. Mike McDaniel with the Dolphins. It'll be interesting to see how that team actually performs, especially with Tua and the like, but certainly looks like he had put something together up until that point. Dennis Allen with the Saints. Again, I think a kind of a holdover position. Josh McDaniels, we've seen the struggles with that team, and Todd Bowles with the Buccaneers. Not doing too bad, but also inherited a great team. So, really, when we look out of this rookie class of head coaches, we can only really point to one, maybe two, that you would say are doing outstanding. Would anybody else disagree with that?
No, I agree.
No, I agree.
I guess just to give Broncos country just a little bit of perspective, I guess, is all this was really meant to do. Hey, there's a lot of coaches out there, new coaches out there. It's not easy to go out there in the NFL and start winning games. I guess have a little bit of patience. even with this new coaching staff. Hopefully, as we've kind of alluded to, there should be some changes heading forward. So,
I just want
well,
to
guys,
see Hackett when the time comes that he has to make decisions. Then he needs to be the one. There's just certain times that he needs to make a decision and stand by it, and that's it.
To put
Just
his
like
foot
in-
down.
Like in L.A., for example, I don't agree with a lot of him going for it on fourth and inside your 30, but he stands behind those and says, I made those calls, and it's not, well, the analytics said and the guy from up in the booth gave me the go-ahead. He stands by it and goes for it, right or wrong, and that's what he needs to do.
Yeah, and now he's caught in the trap, right? At first, I think he was trying to do that, but he was terrible about the time management with that. So now he's trying to defer to other people's to give him that decision, and then he's further deferring to maybe Russell Wilson to call his own play on top of it. Like you said, it's not a good sign for a head coach. Head coach should be out there coaching and making those decisions.
But I'd like to
He
see
does
him
have
do like Andy Reid a little bit, where when Andy Reid says, I got to go talk to my defense and I'm on the defense for a minute, and the offense might be on the field, Eric Bieniemy's calling plays.
Yeah.
When Andy Reid wants to take over, he can take back over. He can whether it's Justin Otten or you give it to Clint Kubiak, it doesn't really matter. But there are times
this is a perfect
right there to the defense, and that's where he needs to be.
And in this way, you can have Outen, for example, can have 10 plays, and Hackett can have 10 plays, and now you're switching them up, and you don't stick to just 10 plays.
Yeah, I mean, if he has a 10-play board, so that even if it's just a 10-play board, whoever it is, Outen has a 10-play board. Like you said, Hackett can go walk over, coach whoever he needs to coach. He's got 10 plays he can run while he's out there. Maybe they're completely different than what's been ran by Hackett in the past, and give him that time, man. I tell you, I agree with all this, guys, and I think this blends over perfectly. We're going to go a little bit from coaching changes to maybe some scheme, some personnel changes, things that you think needs to happen in order to make this offense really start to catch fire, to get Russ cooking. Jody, I think it's been fair to say you've been pretty critical of the coaching staff, and probably more than me and Albert. I'll let you get started on this one, man. What do you think, from a personnel or a scheme thing, that we need to do?
I hated seeing Garrett Bowles go down. I mean, he's been an Iron Man for this team, but he was a holder and a hugger, and I think they were never going to make that switch, and I think now they're forced to do it, and I think that's going to bring a breath of fresh air there. And I think some other guys in the middle need to be held up or accountable. Moody, if Miners is not ready to come back, you got Moody sitting there. Glasgow has not played well. Reisner's been okay. Those are a couple moves I would start with. And then scheme-wise, get out of this pistol. Get under center. That's what Russ is used to running. Run under center. If you're going to still claim that you're a wide zone run scheme, do some wide handoffs. Do something besides run straight up the middle. Some bootlegs. And then Russ has to be better. I mean, if you go watch the Kurt Warner breakdown of Russell Wilson, I mean, Hackett called some great plays, and he had guys open that Russ just missed. And for whatever reason, I mean, you're going to have to go watch that. He broke it down really well, and there's no excuses. Russ just flat missed throws that he shouldn't miss.
Do you know who Kurt Warner was working with on that? Was that like CBS or anything like that, man?
NFL Network.
NFL Network, all right.
Yeah.
Kurt Warner, NFL Network.
And it's a pretty good breakdown, really, because, I mean, the play is just like, for example, that fourth down play. KJ Hamler, I mean, he's wide open. If Russ makes the right read right away, that's an easy pitch and catch touchdown. But Russ doesn't trust any of his receivers, and that's something he's going to have to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that, man. I'll have to go over check out. Like to give credit where credit's due, so I appreciate your memory of that. Kurt Warner over on the NFL Network. I'll check out that video. I definitely saw the fourth down play that you're talking about, but would love to see a little bit more of that tape. Don't get the all 22 myself over here on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Not yet. We're working on stuff like that in the future, so that'll be awesome. Albert, what do you think, man? Scheme changes, things that we need to do different?
Yeah,
And if anybody out there in comment land, all our lovers, likers, followers, subscribers, I appreciate it. I haven't talked about anybody in a little bit of a while. Feel free, jump on in here and give us your thoughts as well. But Albert,
and we definitely need to run more. If we have only 18 carries on runs, that's not enough. You put it all on the wide receivers, and especially pretty much on one, Cortland Sutton. You become very predictable, and if you just run it through the middle, like Jody said, it doesn't do you any good. What I really want to see is changes. Cushionberry, I think, is the biggest liability right now. He's getting pushed around. He doesn't get enough penetration a lot of the times. It just gets run back. I think if we might let's switch it up. Put Glasgow as center for maybe a couple plays. Just try it. And then have, I hope Meisner is coming back. But if Meisner is not coming back, then put Moody in. What else do we have to lose? Right now, if we keep playing like it is, Russell is going to get hit more and more. Because right now, on the right side, it doesn't work. Reisner is suffering because of Cushionberry. And that trickles down to the both sides. So I think that's where we need the biggest change.
I'll go part way on that. I think that Reisner and Cush are playing off each other in that regard. Man, I don't think either one of them are really doing a good job from center to that side. So, it's a lot of things, man. I did want to, anybody who's just watching along, I guess, too. I did a little bit of research. I don't know if this is like Broncos for dummies or football for dummies or something like that. But this is my diagram of a wide zone scheme, okay, guys? And I think the biggest thing when you look at this, try to get this a little bit even. The idea is that, your center is coming out here, he's hooking this guy, your tackle's coming out and he's hooking this guy, and so on down the line, right? And then your running back has the option of following and going here. He has the option of going straight forward if these guys, especially when this guard and this tackle, or these two guards end up getting pushed to the second level, he can just go straight forward, or he can ride the cutback, right? And, you try to do this if I can. Well, you get it. Coming up over to this corner over here, so he can cut back, and go, God dang, can't do it that way. Anyway, across this scrimmage. And I guess the only reason I bring that is because I guess my indication was really for me was that the wide zone scheme was all going to be trailing to one side of the left, where really that running back, if he sees when he gets that ball, if he sees that cut right up the middle, he's taking that cut right up the middle. He's not taking it to the wide, or he's not taking the cut back across that hooking scheme, I guess is the best way to put it, across the line. I guess my biggest question is, and I really want to go back and watch a little bit more of this tape, is are we doing a bad job on the front end of getting that wide zone to where those guys, those running backs, feel like the only thing they can do is go straight up the middle? They don't have that hook all the way around the edge. They don't have that cutback. If they're going to get yardage, they have to go up the middle. Or are we completely gone away from the wide zone scheme? Jody, I know that you've had your eye on this. Can you give me any insight? Do you know as of right now?
I think some of this goes back to two things. One, you're in pistol or shotgun all the time. And two, the running backs, they almost outrun the play. You don't see any kind of slow down a little bit, let the blocks develop, and then go. It's just run right up the middle and lower your head. There's no kind of, if you go back, and I know this is comparing apples to oranges a little bit and watched like Terrell Davis and stuff. He'd get a pitch and he'd be kind of moving down the line, wait for the blockers, and then hit it.
Yeah.
And that was even like Philip Lindsay. That was my biggest knock. He outran his blocks a lot of the times. He was just such in a hurry. He would outrun his blocks.
I'm not. I don't know if you saw the Raiders game yesterday, but Josh Jacobs did a tremendous job, and his O-line did a tremendous job creating those gaps, and we don't get that.
I didn't want to cut you off, man.
And I think some of this is blocking, though, too. Like, when you're used to the running back just running right up the middle, you're not going to do your, like you said, kind of go out and hook, and you're really not blocking them. You're kind of just shielding them. You're not doing that because the guy's right behind you. You are going to try to bulldoze, and that's it.
Yeah.
What you showed there, Keith, that is what we saw from most of the running plays of the Raiders last night, and it went really well.
Yeah. They do a little variation. They do like kind of an inside stunt on this front, to where they take a guard and a center, and they'll actually cross it up. Creates a little bit more of a gap, kind of a more of an inside zone that they like to run scheme, which is fine. Heck, sometimes if all you got running is right up the center, if you don't feel like your tackles can secure that edge, if you don't, that's the biggest thing in this, man. If you can't get that, then you're in trouble. If your tackles can't get that, this guy right here, if you can't get him, he's going to blow up anything right here. And on the opposite side, if you don't get this guy, he's going to just come crashing right down into the line and plug up both the center and the cutback. So if your tackles are struggling on either one of these schemes, sometimes it's better just to do an inside zone and run rather than trying to do an outside zone and only taking the middle. So maybe an adjustment that we actually see from the Broncos maybe going forward. But I agree with you, Jody, man. I'll be honest. I told you guys as we were getting on for right before game one, I said, I think now I can let the cat out of the bag about how this Broncos offense I think is going to look. And honestly, and I hope they do it again. I don't care if I'm letting anything out of the bag now. They said they were going to go all the way back to training camp and start looking at some of this. You saw Russell Wilson with the ball rolling out a lot more in training camp than anything I've seen here in first 5 games. Russell Wilson maybe did that once in the first game, I think, where he had a decent rollout, but this is tight to the line rollout. It's a line of scrimmage. It's a fake handoff. He continues to go down the line. It really opens it up, especially against zone schemes in the defense. It's something I haven't seen anything from. And like, again, maybe they go back. Maybe we'll see it. I was excited for it. And I'll agree with you guys, because not Albert, but Jody especially, man. It seems like it's just wide zone is gone. It's not even a thought.
And that's one thing that you just mentioned that I don't see a lot of. You don't see any pulling guards. You don't see any of that. I mean, it's right up the middle, and they don't pull any guards. They don't get any linemen moving. It's just bulldoze.
Yeah, it's the opposite of what. Again, in a wide zone scheme, you may not see a whole lot because really your whole idea is you're just trying to shift one set over, move one to the left or move one to the right, hook your guy, and then look for the routes. But if that isn't working and all we're doing is running up the center, then you need to start pulling some guard center mixes and start hitting some guys and getting to the second level and creating 4 or 5 yard gaps to where your guy can have 4 or 5 yards of running room before he gets contact. Back in the day when we were doing that with Javonte Williams, that's how we got 15-yard runs out of him right up the middle.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that's when you get the speed to break tackles. And yeah, I don't get it either.
And if the reports are true that they're stay in the pocket, hone your game like Drew Brees and stuff, well, Drew Brees had an elite offensive line. He had 2 all-pro tackles when Drew Brees was there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he had Terrence Armstrong and Ryan Ramczyk. I mean, he had elite tackles that could allow you to stay in the pocket. Denver does not have that. So you've got to does Russ need to run like Lamar Jackson? No. but you've got to let Russ do what Russ made him successful in Seattle, and that's not happening.
Yeah, I mean, there was two things that really made Russell successful in the passing game, in my opinion, just truly in the passing game, and that was the fact that he would roll out, A, and B, he would be able to, A, either run on the rollout, or he would do that hold up and throw back for like 50 yards down to Tyler Lockett,
Yeah.
I mean, he was phenomenal at that. Nothing that we've seen. Again, when Hackett was in his press conference today, Broncos country, he said they were going to go all the way back to what Russell likes from Seattle, what they were doing in training camp that he liked. They were going to go through and pick out all their best plays that they thought they had, that maybe they even gave up on in training camp and in preseason, and they're going to put all those together. Hopefully that makes it look like a completely different offense than we've seen in the first 5 weeks, because it has been, quite honestly, let's just call it. It's been pathetic, guys. There's been nothing good about this offense, really.
If you look at Russ, right? If you look at Russ in Seattle, he was never a on-time rhythm thrower like that. He was kind of a scramble, and a lot of these are on-time routes, and that's not Russ's. That's never been Russ's game. He's been kind of a, whatever you want to call it, playground. I'm going to roll out and I'm going to let guys run their routes and then get open, and I'll throw you.
Let him cook. Let him cook.
Yep. Well, you brought up Drew Brees just a little bit ago. I think that's going to be a good transition as we're getting a little bit long in the tooth here, guys. Drew Brees once played for the Chargers. Funny thing is, I was really hoping at the time that Drew Brees was going to be able to come to the Denver Broncos from the Chargers. If you guys remember, instead we got Jay Cutler in the draft, so that was the outcome. That being said, Los Angeles Chargers, Monday Night Football. I got to give Albert a little bit of time here on the mic, man. I feel like we've ignored you here for a second, man. Talk about it, man. What are your expectations? Offense, defense, and better give us a score before we get out of here. And any of our viewers, feel free to jump in, give us a score at prediction as well.
If they don't change the scheming on offense, I think we will have a very low scoring game again. They need to change it up and play to the player's strengths, and right now we are not doing that. Defense, if they have a game like they had last week against the Colts, it's going to be a great game on defense, and hopefully it's not going to be a defensive game again. Hopefully we will see some scoring. That's where I'm at. Changing schemes, change maybe an offensive line, and the defense will be as good as they were against the Colts.
I'll give you this too, man. And we didn't talk about this. At least I don't think so. It's been a long show. Greg Dulcich is back. Michael Ujimidi is back. Justin Simmons is back. Obviously, Dulcich adding into there. Any expectations of him? It sounds like he'll be ready to go.
I think they will keep it low on him, minimum snaps to ease him in, because it is brand new for him. It will be his first NFL game, a real NFL game. So I think they will ease him in a little bit. Okay. And Justin Simmons, if he is ready to go, he will be playing full time again.
Oh yeah.
I don't see the problem there. Ojemudia, if he plays limited snaps, and ease him in a little bit again, because I think last year Ojemudia was a liability in certain plays.
Yep.
He was not too great. Hopefully Minus comes back. If Minus comes back, I think we will see a different offensive line.
That would be nice, buddy. That would be nice, man. I'll get your score prediction here in just a little bit. We'll go over to Jody, get his thoughts on what he expects to see out of this game. Oh, hey, by the way, man, I just got a message. Looks like we're going to be dressing 7 tight ends. I'm just kidding, buddy. I had to. I couldn't go without the whole show, man.
Until I see something different, I don't really have a score prediction, but I'm not going to go out and throw 30 out there. I do expect some changes to happen. Russell Wilson's a professional. He's a 9-time Pro Bowl or Super Bowl winner. Everyone knows his accolades and stuff, and I think that he is not – I mean, if his end goal is to play till he's 45, well, he's going to have to change some things. So I expect some things different. I hope that this little mini bye got both the coaches and everyone else more focused and on track. And I hope Hackett, Russ can't run. He's got to sit in the pocket. That's not working. Let Russ do what Russ has always done. And then on the defensive side, keep doing what you're doing. Find ways to get Stearns. If Justin Simmons is really back, you got to get Stearns on the field. He's earned it. And hopefully between Mathis and, I don't know, probably Phillips, probably Ojemudia, you've got to find somebody on that second corner. That's your weak link there. The other guys I think can hold the fort down. Baron Browning will hold it down until Gregory's back. I don't know if Jewel will play this week, but Singleton's been decent. That might be a spot where they can get Stearns on the field more.
Yeah.
Something there. Other than that, the defense is playing well, but the offense has got to make some plays. I don't need to see 30. I just need to see moving the ball, and you can't have like a third quarter like last week where it's 3 and out, sacks, 3 and outs. That can't happen.
That's fair, man. I guess for at least for me, this is big for me. I think this is a big change week. You know what I mean? This is our mini bye. We are 2-3. We're not how we expected. I think that Hackett is getting a lot of heat. I think that now Russ is starting to get a lot of heat. This offense is, looking completely dwarfed in comparison to this defense. So they're, have that heat as well, just from across the locker room. Things have need to change. I expect big changes in what we will see on the field come Monday night. On top of it, it's Monday night. It's another primetime game. There's only so many times you can go out there and look terrible on Monday on a primetime game. This is kind of a big must-win, I think, for the Broncos. I agree with you guys. I'm not going to go out there and I'm saying, hey, this is the day that Russell Wilson puts up 30-plus points, 40 points, throws for 4 touchdowns, anything like that. But I do think we see better efficiency. I'll use Coach Hackett's terminology. I think we don't play behind the sticks as much as we've seen in this game, because that's really put us in a bad position, being 1st and 15, 2nd and 17, whatever it happens to be. All these long yardage situations that have really narrowed it down. So I expect big things. Defense, I don't expect a drop off. To be honest, I don't. Even though we have some injuries, we have some guys subbing in, we have some guys coming back who have been injured. This defense has not proven to me anything but being outstanding. So expecting a big game there, man. So I'll tell you what, since no one has given a score prediction, maybe we withhold. Maybe we tease a little bit, and we can release this out on the Denver Bronco Roundup, all our score predictions later as it comes closer. What do you guys think? Or are you, Albert? Albert's like, you good with it, Albert?
No, I would say let's do a prediction and it doesn't matter.
Okay.
If you want to do it later, then let's do it later.
Okay, we'll hold it. We'll hold it for just a little bit. We're gonna let all this marinate, man. Even though we're getting off this loss, I think there's a lot of things that we really are gonna see come out this week. We'll see it come through press conferences and the like. Maybe we'll get a little bit better feel of where this game is as we get a little bit closer. We'll get our predictions then. Jody, give me a few words getting out of here. Albert, you'll be next, and then we'll jump out. We're running late.
One last thought. I mean, Denver was embarrassed at home last week, and I'm sure everyone here has been embarrassed before, and that you're at a crossroads there. Do you shape up, or do you continue to let it happen? And when you're watching fans walk out on a tie score, how much more embarrassing can it get? And I hope that is a feeling that they don't want to see again, and that makes them turn this around.
Very good, man. I love it, man. Albert, what do you got?
So I think our defense will be really good, and I hope we don't have a Jekyll and Hyde, and if we do, that we will see a Hyde, and let the beast come out.
The beast needs to come out, man. That would be a beautiful, beautiful thing, man. I agree. I guess my last thing, again, expect big things out of this team. Expect big changes. I think, like you said, Jody, they're at a crossroads, and some as individuals, some as teams, as a team, some as groups, and I expect changes all the way around. Before we get out of here, I did see right before we get on, Demarius Thomas is going to be inducted into the Colorado Sports Hall of Fame, and I wouldn't feel right if I didn't mention that. DT, always a Bronco. Love you, buddy. Glad that he's getting his recognition as far as that's concerned. All right, from all of us here, from me, from the Mile High Dutchy Albert, from Jody Moncrief, from Willow Seasonings and Blends, who is a fantastic sponsor for the show, for Rocky Mountain Sports Network, who's our fantastic our venue for the Denver Bronco Roundup, and a fantastic place to get all your Colorado sports. We appreciate you guys so much. Appreciate all our viewers, likers, subscribers. Come follow us. Join in. We appreciate you every Tuesday. But until next Tuesday, we're going to get out of here. See you next time.